What's up, everybody? It is Hobbs back here with you for a review for the 80s archives. And in October of 1980, just a year before Stripes, we had Goldie Hawn, who also produced the film, known as Private Benjamin. That's right. I do want to thank Cody from H&S Collectibles, who sent me this particular film. And what's cool is it's in the original snapper case as well. So let's talk about Private Benjamin here. I feel like this one kind of gets underlooked because of Stripes, but I love Stripes. And you'll probably see a review of that in the 80s archives at some point in time. But let's get into Private Benjamin here and discuss this particular film, who was also produced by Goldie Hawn. Now, the film was directed by Howard Zieff and had a budget of $10 million. So a $10 million budget for this. And I figured, you know what, Memorial Day is coming up. And why not do a military movie? And basically what we have here is we have Goldie Hawn. She is kind of a well-to-do woman. Her name is Judy. She comes from a family that's well-to-do. You know, there's yachts and stuff. And kind of like her character, slightly in overboard a little bit, but not as stuck up. And she's marrying her husband at a wedding, and everything's going fine. They're having a beautiful wedding, you know. They even do the Mazel Tov because it's a Jewish wedding. You know, it's just so much fun to watch. And then they decide to, literally the day after, I believe even right at the wedding, go up and consummate their marriage and make love. Well, in the process of doing that, something happens and she ends up losing her husband. So this puts her into a depressive funk. Now that her husband is gone, he has passed away, she decides to basically get her life back on track if she can, any way, shape, or form. She gets recruited into the military by Harry Dean Stanton. That's right, Harry Dean Stanton, who was in Dream a Little Dream. He was also in Red Dawn. You guys know Harry Dean. And at this point, convinces her to go into the military. She arrives at basic training, and she stays on the bus because she's asleep. She's still drawn out from losing her husband and everything. And realizes, I don't know if I want to do this or not. So she gets into the camp. Finally, she gets convinced whenever the sergeant throws her off the bus. And so she's in, you know, the camp with the other girls that are there, one of which is PJ Souls. I think you guys know who PJ Souls is, right? I'm sure you've heard of her. And she's just not adjusting well, you know. She's saying, you know, where are the yachts? And why do I have to get up so early and stuff like that? You know that premise where she shouldn't be there. She doesn't want to be there, but she decides she has to be there. And almost quits. And then her parents show up, and her parents tell her, you know, come on, honey, let's go. This is not meant for you. You're not capable of doing this. We give you everything you want anyway. You've got it easy. Come home. Well, she takes that personally. And she's like, okay, well, you're saying I can't do anything, so I'm going to go ahead and do this because you guys say I can't do anything on my own. So she decides to stay and work it out and be in the military, and there's a whole bunch of trials and tribulations along the way. She has to get through basic training. She has to get through, you know, coping with other members of her particular barracks. And then she gets presented with some real challenges. And she ends up becoming part of NATO. And I don't want to go into too much details because of that, but she has to kind of defend herself and defend some of her former members of her barracks in NATO. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I know this is a comedy, but it has a good message to it. You know, It does come in at a R rating, probably because of the nudity, which there wasn't a whole lot of it. Some of the cussing and whatnot. Now, during this time, Stripes came out a year later. A lot of people feel like Stripes was a direct ripoff of this film. Literally had the same budget of $10 million. This film did almost $70 million. Stripes did about $78 million. So roughly the same budget and same revenue. Now this is really almost the 70s film, 1980. But overall, it was a fun watch. I felt like 110 minutes, though. Slightly a little bit long for this. I think they probably could have cut it down by about 10 minutes. A lot of people complain that it's the tale of two movies. I could see that. I could see where people think that. Some parts of the second half of the film weren't needed, but during that time, this is all we had, guys. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have all that stuff. So sitting down for a 2-hour movie at that time was pretty common. That's why you see a lot of your 80s movies were slightly longer. So, anyways, let me know if you've seen Private Benjamin. Are you a fan of Goldie Hawn? This is another one of those films where she's trying to prove herself, kind of like she did in Wildcats, But it was a good time. It was fun. But anyways, this is Hobbs back with you for the 80s Archives. Go check out Jennifer Toji. He's doing the 80s Archives as well. Hope you guys have a good week. Peace.